Hey, folks, we're back with a new week of Excel 10-Minute Leaders Live. Thank you for joining us. My name is Graham Brown, joined in the studio today all the way from Canada. We have Cindy Shaw. Cindy, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Wonderful to have you here. You are the first of the new week. How about that? So you get the honor of kicking off the new week of leadership conversations. And we got 10 minutes together. Cindy, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Excellent. So let's do the formalities. What does it say on your business card?
Says that I am a performance and mindset coach. So basically, I help people not only master their physiology of their brain, but also the psychology of their mind to improve their performance in work and in life.
How did you get into that? Is that your background? Did you study psychology, coaching?
You know what? I actually studied neuro-linguistic programming and I got my certification in that. I also went to school for marketing, but I've always had this deep love of personal development. And then it was just my own experiences of having debilitating brain fog and anxiety that actually led me more from the mindset coaching to the brain health. And understanding that our brain is really the core of who we are. And so I married then the two, like I said, the physiology of their brain with the psychology of the mind. So to help people get better results in life.
What is brain fog? I mean, I know we all know what it is, but what exactly is it? Is it a physiological condition? Is it
Yeah, it's
what
definitely
exactly?
physiological. And, for me, it presented as the inability to remember things. I used to joke and say that I was the best wife to be married to because things my husband did that pissed me off were never stored in my mind for long. So, but it got really scary where I couldn't remember simple things like my best
Mm.
friend's name. And on top of that, I had anxiety and then all of these depression symptoms as well. And as someone who had studied the mind and I actually taught other people mindset strategies, everything that I had in my toolbox wasn't working and it wasn't helping me shift and change and get the results I wanted. So that's when I started learning about the brain and understanding that our brain is the core of who we are and that it's like the hardware of our system and our mindset is the software. But the hardware needs to be optimized and working perfectly well so that your mindset can do its job.
What is then generally the problem people have? What are the causes of these problems? Is it a lifestyle? Is it stress? Is it food? Is
Yes,
it
yes, yes.
all of the above? Okay, so let's deal with the big problems. What is causing?
Well,
Firstly, what are the problems that people have?
I would say there's some key ones. It's definitely lifestyle related. So our diets and lack of minerals and supplements. It's the level of stress and not actively managing it. It is lack of sleep. And it can also be things like having a brain injury. It can be working in a toxic environment or toxic mold. It could be your genetics. So there's all these different factors that actually determine the health of our brain. And unfortunately, most people don't even think about their brain. And, we think about our body or we think about our mind, but it really is our brain, our mind, and our body that all work together. And so when we look at the big issues that affect our brain health, it affects how we think, how we feel, how we act, and how we interact with other people.
Yeah, the last few years have been a real challenge, haven't they, for a lot of people? It's stressed a lot of our relationships in work and our relationship with work as well. And
Yes,
people working from home, some people have done well. A lot of people have done just survived and muddled their way through the pandemic. And then you've got this issue of the pandemic itself and all the
right.
anxiety. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flash up three words on the screen which have really surfaced and become trending keywords in the last couple of years. They may or may not be as a result of the pandemic, but we're talking about them now. And I want to know what you feel about these in the context of brain health. So the three
Okay.
things that people talk about now: resilience, authenticity, vulnerability. Resilience.
So
People talk about
resilience
this
is
now.
actually a skill that we build up. And it really is our brain's ability to deal with challenges. Now, depending on our past experiences, that's going to determine how well we deal with challenges now. So, whether or not you've had trauma, whether or not you have enough sleep, whether or not you are dealing with your stress, these all affect your ability to be resilient in the world. So, really looking at how you can optimize your brain health can allow you to be all that much more resilient in the world.
We've all had it, haven't we? Where we've been in that mind state where we just haven't been able to deal with small everyday problems. And these become crises almost. Lack of sleep,
Yeah.
stress building up. And it's almost your bandwidth to take on a little bit, which normally you would have just absorbed, isn't it? That's the resilience part.
Definitely. And
Tips
you know
you
what?
over.
And when we are stressed and we're not sleeping well, we tend to overindulge in things that, again, are not great for our brain. And all of those healthy things can start to disappear in our life. And we can start to build in, habits that are not great for our brain and our mind and our body.
Okay. So how do we improve? You've got the stage to help us, the audience, make those quick fixes. I know this takes a lot longer in reality, but let's assume that you only have 2 minutes to really change our lives and our mental wellness and our health for better. In those 2 minutes, what could you teach us that would change our lives for better?
Well, I think the first thing people need to understand is that your brain is always changing. So you are not stuck with the brain or the mind that you have. We all have the ability to change it. It just takes some practice. And this is where I love to teach people about, I call them shoulds. We all have shoulds. We know we should eat better, we should sleep better, we should manage our stress better. But a should is small habits I do daily. And when we create these small habits, we actually create new neural pathways in our brain. And so it's easier for our brain to take the pathways that are well worn. So by creating shoulds, the small habits that you do daily, you can actually change how your brain is structured. You can change how it functions. And so looking at your diet, looking at your sleep and your stress, those are really the 3 big cornerstones. So eating a diet full of vegetables and healthy proteins and fruits, making sure that you're getting at least 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night, and finding ways to actually de-stress and unplug, because that will actually change how your brain functions and your ability to be, resilient and authentic and vulnerable and to perform at your best in the world.
It's great advice. Tell us about one that you've created for yourself, one should, so one small habit that you do daily.
All right. Well, you know what? As ridiculous as it sounds, when I go to make my coffee in the morning, I have a little note. So you need a reminder first. I have a little note that as my coffee is percolating there, I actually do some squats. And now when you start to multiply that, okay, so I'm standing there anyhow, might as well do some squats. When I do that 2-3 times a day, I've now done 30 squats. Now you multiply that over a week, you multiply that over a month. I have way better, stronger thighs now than I have ever had before, because it's just, I have the reminder, and then I give myself a little yay reward for actually doing it. And this is creating those new neural pathways in my brain, but it's also good for my body.
The reward part's important, isn't it? We tend to
Very
forget that.
important.
We have to train our brain with a conditioned response, right? A reward.
Yes. And the reward releases dopamine. And dopamine is that really important neurotransmitter that keeps us motivated. And it literally just can take a little arm in the air or saying to yourself, yes, I did it, that actually gives that dopamine release. And the more dopamine releases you have, the more likely you are going to do something again. And this is how we retrain our brain to think in new ways.
So what sort of people and what kind of conditions would you welcome for people to reach out to you and say, look, I'm in this situation. I think I need to talk to Cindy. What kind of people should they be, and what should they be experiencing now for this to be worth everybody's time?
Sure. Well, the people who typically come to me, they are stressed, they're burnt out, they are having a difficulty focusing, concentrating, and they just don't feel themselves. And they're looking for natural ways to improve their performance. And yes, they know about mindset, and maybe they do or maybe they don't, but they also understand that it's much deeper, that it's not just changing your thinking, it is about changing the physiology to support you in being your best. So yes, those people who are experiencing anxiety, depression, burnout, overwhelming stress, can't focus, but they want to be better and they want some natural solutions so that they can, perform optimally in life and at work.
There you go. Cindy Shaw, everybody. Cindy, where do we go to find out more about you?
Sure. So the easiest way is to go to my website. It's, www.thebetterbrainacademy.com. And that will take you to the work that I do and some great resources.
Cindy, thank you so much for joining us on Excel 10 Minute Leaders Live today.
Thank you for having me.